Le Glaive, the year is 620, sorry. And I've moved the priests around for my orders for the turn. And yes, there's that many each turn. Seeing kind of a little bit more effort towards concentrating, putting a couple guys in each area. It's tougher to expand, there's less safe areas. Plus, I think I've been screwing up. I've been not counting animists as willing to kill priests. I think they are perfectly willing to kill priests. It's only the Jews who don't do that. So I'm having to put 2 guys in any animist areas that I want to expand in, knowing that I'm going to take a death in those. Alright, so I'll take the conflicts in place, and we'll see. There's some places where there's conflicts where there's almost no reason for it. Like here, we have Orthodox and Mazdians both going into Caucasus, and they're going to conflict there, but neither one's going to get anything because it's only the Avars, the shamanists, who are going to gain there. They've got their religious leader. Anyway, I'll take those conflicts out of the way, either between the populace or what the armies, the populace and the army's first martyr units. Nobody went into armies, I think. Oops. Well, the Roman Catholic, or the Orthodox did here, and the shamanists did here. So actually there's going to be some slaughtering on multiple layers. Here they sent 2 in, and there's no point to that. The Byzantine fleet and the Greeks, that's going to kill both of them. That was just an error. Anyway, I'll take care of all that. Okay, so after all the conflicts, and then after resolving what's happening over on the spiritual board, what we're kind of seeing is it looks like the pagan Vikings are really jumping ahead of everyone else. And right now, they've got a couple of, well, they've got really one ally, which is the shamans. And I think at the beginning of this next turn, there's going to be some attempt, at least by Rome, to convince the shamans, hey, come to some kind of agreement with the Byzantines. They could use it. They really could. They don't need to be fighting you. And turn your force against the Vikings in conjunction with us. That would be a bit of a stab, though. The shamans are on good terms with both of them, and their perhaps more honorable route would be, I'm doing fine on my own, you two sort out your own problems. Of course, a statement like that might somehow convince things to go the other way. So it's kind of a risky thing. It could go any way. There are a lot of different options that could follow. In the East, things are much harder on the Byzantines. They don't have someone they can call to for help. They really don't. They're facing both the Mazdians and the Islam, and neither one, I mean, you can see the Mazdians are definitely doing better, but I don't think either one's really jumping ahead enough to be scary with where the Vikings are. So it's kind of it's going to be harder to turn the Mazdians against Islam, given that there's someone else doing better, than it would be to, say, turn the shamanists against the Vikings. So the shamanists aren't that far behind. So it may just be that Catholicism and Orthodox and Monophysites, all the Christian religions, are just going to get wiped out in this one very early. And that would be kind of neat. Alright, well, on to the military side. So I've got the orders recorded on map in kind of standard format, where you've got units in their transition state. Bohemia, it advances, it was getting support from this. This is supporting that, it moves into place. This moves in, this moves in. We do have some conflicts, though. Let's get these all into place. We have the Byzantines going into Egypt. Now, the Byzantines don't have an advantage there because they're not Monophysites, so they withdraw back to Sicily. Here we have the Avar going into the Bosporus, and that fails. because the Byzantines, well, are there to begin with, but also have the support. But we do have Avars making it into here. And the Avars are doing well enough that it may be tough to convince them to sign this piece. I think the Byzantines would gladly say, okay, you can have this, you can convert it. That's enough though, right? And you can keep what you have up here. You can deal with all that. We'll deal with our problem in the east. I think the Byzantines would be fine with that. The question is, are the Avars going to be happy enough taking the slight gains? And they've gotten some. They've gotten, the east. They've gotten not the Bosporus. That's going to remain in Byzantine hands. It's an important city. But they've gotten it surrounded. It's possible. Okay, well, we have some of these to move around that I haven't taken care of yet. Positioning themselves to wipe out the Nestorians, but the Nestorians are moving east, getting themselves established in the east, because the Mazdians are so strong. They don't think they can possibly stand out in their heartland area, so they're trying to get away from that heartland area and establish something new. Seeing the same kind of thing here with the donations, where they've got a lot of power here, but they're trying to move north to where there's kind of a power vacuum, because, well, eventually this will get resolved, right, and they'll lose these. I don't know, maybe. I think all we're at it left is okay, the Schism Prophecy was again the same thing, and Greece didn't fall, so it didn't happen. If there was a military unit in Greece, it would have cut the Orthodoxy into these two territories, and they would become a schismatic religion, which would be a serious problem for the Byzantines. All right, now with them, they don't have to reveal this prediction unless it comes true. So nobody else may be all that aware of it, although if Greece does fall, it is kind of obvious. So everybody might start predicting it pretty soon, which could be kind of a danger. So now we're going to be at the priest. I've got to recount everything, make sure I've got the numbers right. I just don't trust myself. And my numbers were mostly correct. I lost a couple of Islamic units, probably dropped one down when I was supposed to move them forward or something. It moves us to 6:30. Beginning of the turn, I got to start writing orders again. And some of the initial discussions underway, and the Avars are kind of the opinion right now of, look, I'm sorry, but it's kind of the fight over the carcasses time. And, I may not turn, I'm not going to turn against you, I don't think, but I've got to grab my scraps off of the Byzantines. If I turn and all my force is poised over here, if I turn my force this way to attack the Vikings, I'm going to lose a full turn of movement, basically, that I've already been using. And I don't see where I'm going to gain anything. I see where you are, I see where the Byzantines want this, but I don't see where it helps me as the shaman player. Yeah, the Vikings have a little bit of a gain, but you're facing them full on, and maybe make a deal with some of the other people you're dealing with here. So I'll use, my donations maybe to work against them a little bit. Maybe you can convince some of the others, like Islam, to try to use their one big priest. We also have the Aryans, who are the Persians. Those can use their force more against the Vikings than I can really assert myself as a whole. So I try to get help from the other people who are in the lead or in leading positions to try to bring them down, more than expecting my whole army to come into play. And that's kind of the gist of the whole thing right now. Okay, so here we are on the 8:30 turn, or 6:30 turn, sorry. This is a valuable turn in terms of this is when cities can be captured and their status can be changed. One thing you'll notice, I did this a little while ago, but I started putting little black dots on the back end of them. That doesn't work so well for the black pieces. I don't know what I'm going to use there. I used to have a little white paint pen, but I don't know where that is. That would have helped greatly, but maybe I can use some whiteout. Put a little white dot on there. I think I have some somewhere. Alright, anyway, that's to help me differentiate between the two, because, you know, I don't sell my games. I might as well make them as usable as possible to me. And no, I don't ever highlight anything. Okay, so we're going to have to move the priests at this point, and I guess I'm going to take care of that. One key issue, though, in here is that the Byzantines, and I think it's too late, decided to combine their religions. They have 6 turns until 690 to maintain that. Now this reduced the amount of priests they have, but it means that their armies can kind of use the Monophysites as well as the Orthodox as home territories. Again, I think it's too late, though. I think if they had done it last turn, they'd be in Egypt and they'd be in a better position. They're not there now, and I started looking at the combinations, and it just doesn't look good. It looks like they're going to fall. It looks like the Catholics are in a lot of trouble. So we're going to have a very different world here. One thing I want to point out, in most games that I play, I'm very liberal in terms of, hey, I can do this, you know, I can make this up, I can fix this. In this game, I'm being particularly harsh. We've seen a couple examples already. Another one was, I put the sorcerer into Greece. Well, that's illegal. There's an army in Greece. Illegal move, fails. He stays where he was in Illyria with no orders, actually. And I think he was in Illyria the turn before. I kind of moved him illegally. No, he was actually in the Caucasus with no order. But he has no orders now. He can't do anything. Anyway, I'm going to be disturbingly strict like that, because with the orders written down, etc., there's a lot of chance for mistakes. So there will be more mistakes in this game than maybe there would be in an opposed game, although an opposed game with a bunch of newbies who aren't used to the system probably would make a similar amount. Anyway, such is life. It adds a little bit of variance to it, a little bit of randomness that you might not otherwise see. So here, the Avars have been doing very well. Well, now they just got stymied in a way, and we'll see how that works. Got some conflicts going on, though, and I got to take care of those. And after the religious conflicts, well, we're beginning to see the Norse pagans are really establishing themselves in France, and that's going to, you know, I mean, it looks like it's the end for Catholicism here. We've got Nestorians moving up, trying to help the Catholics by launching an attack up in, you know, the Norse homeland, really, and threatening that. Had the Patriarch be able to help power up Russia. He was able to stay there even though an army moved it. Everywhere else, there were a couple other places where he moved somebody accidentally with an army. That's just illegal, and they ended up failing to have their turn because of that. Seeing the Jews being kind of pushed around into Greece, and then here back and forth up into kind of Syria more than anything else in that general area. It's kind of neat watching that dynamic, because unlike any other religion, they don't just convert, they get shoved around and are kind of like this ball of death that can roll around, damaging religions that aren't really next to the person they're damaging. We see the numbers, though. The Vikings are getting incredibly powerful with they're up to 40. They're only 10 away from getting an extra holy war available. Now, holy wars are kind of scary with this many people, especially for somebody like the Byzantines. I considered it and said, well, wait a minute. That'll do great against one person, but then I can't fight anyone else. Someone like the Vikings may want to call a holy war on Rome, on the Franks, because they can pretty much concentrate on that. But they kind of want to take care of the Pelagians first, because as long as the Pelagians are there, they can kind of expand their power at the cost of that holy war. Holy wars are a very dangerous thing when there's other religions kicking around. And I guess that's about it. We'll move on to the military. Quite a few conflicts taking place. Let's take a look at this one. Byzantium versus the Franks. While they both bounce, neither one has an advantage there. It's just a standard situation. But we have Vikings going into Bretagne. And now I'm going to mark that as captured. They're going to be getting control of it this turn. So that's... I want to take care of things as quickly as possible. Here we have two Vikings attacking in Australasia. They have support, one moving in, one with support. The Franks have support from Lombardy. The Franks have the advantage due to the religious situation. So the Vikings are repulsed there, actually. However, there should be one more Viking in there that I didn't catch. I'm not sure why. Probably got distracted. Okay. And let's look elsewhere. Here in Greece, the Avars are coming in with support. They're going to move into Greece, and they're actually going to take it. That's going to force this Byzantine unit. It's not going to pop it, but it's going to force it out. And now we have the Avars here. But this is a Byzantine dominated area. Actually, this should have a monophysite in it as well, just to indicate who it's loyal to right now. It may be controlled by the Avars, but it is still religiously not changed until someone gets 3 of that and controls it. Okay. Over here, we have a move with support into the Bosporus. That's going to force a retreat. Now, I'm going to take that retreat. I get to decide where to make the retreats all at once, kind of. And it's kind of shifted here. The Arabs are moving into Cyrenaica with support from Nubia. Okay, that may not be a great idea, but it's going to succeed. Now, the Byzantines are trying to move into Egypt at the same time Arabs are, but the Arabs have the religious support because the monophysites have been knocked out. So this fails, and this succeeds. Over here, they move successfully up into Palestine, and they're going to chase some more Jews out. Over here, the Persians are coming in with support against the Byzantines. That's going to force a retreat, again, by the Byzantines. And they're going to have to figure out where to go. We've got some other movements here, which are quite simple. Alright, so now, what happens with these retreats? You can retreat to a lot of places. The Byzantines can't retreat here, but they do have the option to retreat into the Caucasus, which might be interesting, or probably even more interesting, into the Black Sea again, so that they can kind of protect their home areas. And over here from Greece, well, they have a lot of choices. They're going to go to the Aegean. Now, on top of any changes, speaking of changes, I'm going to have to put a dot on these guys, but Jerusalem's fallen to the Muslims. And it looks like the only change I haven't caught yet. Okay. On top of all these changes that have occurred, these stupid, they ran away from the territory they wanted to control this turn. Hey, it's their fault. Like I said, I'm being harsh, and I'm not allowing people any takebacks here. So, but boy, was that dumb. Okay. Anyway, what else do we have going on? We have, there was something important I wanted to say that I got distracted by that situation. Obviously we have the priests are coming into play, but we have the build phase before that. We're also going to have that prediction, which appears to have come true because Greece has been taken. It can no longer be moved through. from back here, which means this looks disconnected, except for one thing. We got one religion now. So it's all connected, and the Byzantines are still fine. They're not going to have a heresy. And again, the Avars have been foiled in that. Okay, I got to come back with builds. And after builds here, we see just how big a problem it is. Roman Catholics, they haven't managed to add any territories. They're at their 3. That's what they can support. They're not gaining anything. The Byzantines, remember they and the Catholics clashed over Mauritania accidentally, basically. The Byzantines, they're down to 2 cities. They can maintain these 2. Well, they got a problem. If they lose Africa, they can't maintain both of them, both of those armies. But if they don't have both of these armies, there's no way they can defend Thrace. And then we start looking at some of the others and just how much power is accruing, especially if we look at the shamanists, who aren't doing as well religiously, but they have a lot of little cities. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities in their hands. Now you'll notice, oh wait, 1, 2, they have 7, this one. You'll notice I've run out of circles. That's a real problem. I need to find some other tokens to use for them. I don't have anything in hand. And we're getting close with others too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Vikings. But here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Arabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should have been 7 for the Mazdians. Anyway, on to the priests. After counting and placing, well, there aren't a lot of priests showing up for the weaker religions, and that adds to their problems. You know, they can't handle things either way. The Vikings are kind of interesting because the Norse religion is very strong, but their military isn't that powerful, as opposed to, say, the Avars, who are very powerful. Their religion, it's a little bit weaker than that. It's more of a balance for I would say the 3 who are in the middle. The Vikings seem to have expanded a lot in their religion, gotten a lot of free picks. Now, religion is what you win by, but it's hard to defend if you don't have a military. Anyway, I'm going to load this one up. We're going into 640. And we'll see if the Byzantines keep their division, because one of the issues here is they only got 1 per 7 for their priests, so they have less priests now than they would have had before. They had enough problems with what they had, and their military is no longer here. I think they're going to abandon this single church idea and allow the Monophysites to kind of try to defend themselves on their own, because they've pulled out of Africa completely. At this point, let's see. Oh, yeah. But the danger, of course, is they'll lose some of their more important section to them. They can't really risk that. Hard to tell. And we definitely see some interesting stuff going on with, like, the Nestorians up here, and likewise the donations up here, trying to pursue into that Viking base, because the Vikings look like they have a little bit of a lead, at least in the religious side. All right, up this goes.